We are live. It's 3:35 p.m., 9:35 p.m. BST in the UK. It is the Nomad Tech Project with Sam and Joe coming to you here on Father's Day. It's June 19th, 2022. And if you are paying attention to the stream live, you will see that we have a special guest. We have Mike. Team VRY is in the chat. He's decided to join us and take time and come in here to this craziness we call the Nomad Tech Project and answer some questions.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. It's been our pleasure. We've been wanting to get some guests on that we had never really spoken to before. And we really appreciate you taking time out, realize that, 45 minutes of your life, you're never, ever going to get back. So that's okay. So how are you doing this evening? I know in the UK, it's kind of, Father's Day a big deal for you and your family, or is it not a big deal? Or how does this holiday?
Well, it's just me and my wife here, and we don't have a kid yet. So I don't really celebrate Father's Day, although I did greet my dad, but my parents are back home in the Philippines. So yeah, it's just me and my wife here right now.
Cool. Well, good deal. Eventually, at least you didn't say like, yeah, we don't have any human children, but we have a dog, so we're dog parents. It's like, oh God, if owning a dog was as easy as owning children, I think everybody would have a dog. Having kids is a little bit, as Joe and I can attest to, it's a little bit more challenging when they're humans. Yeah, they talk and walk.
Certainly does.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. Dogs just, they just lick your face and chase the stuff. So
they lick other things as well, Sam, but we won't get into that.
Right, exactly. Well, then they get older, and then they turn like 21, like my daughter's doing in October, and then all bets are off. It's crazy. So, but anyway, so if you are, for anybody listening into the show, either today or post, hopefully you have a good Father's Day. Hopefully, like I expect when I tell my daughters, I say, you know what? I just want 24 hours of peace. Please don't let me have to program anything. I don't want to restart routers. I do not want to clean the car or cut the grass. I just want to vibe for 24 hours. Can Dad have one 24-hour day where I can have some peace, where I'm not having to manage or fix or any of that kind of stuff? And usually they're pretty good. They usually give me what I ask for if it's just only for one day. So
it's not hard. Just one day.
And I agree. Neil, Joe is looking fresh, funky fresh, as a matter of fact.
I had a fresh cut from a new job.
Right. And then he said he was leaving drinks. And I didn't know what he meant. So if you're British, I'm sure you know what that means. Me, I was like, leaving drinks. And then if you want to explain that to people who aren't in the UK, leaving drinks was what exactly?
Celebrating leaving and starting a new job.
We call it going away. Yeah, like a going away or a happy hour kind of thing where everybody goes to the pub and has a pint. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, they actually had one for my wife that because we recently moved to London, she started a new job here. But before she left her old workplace, so her coworkers invited her for the leaving drink. So yeah, it's pretty much the same. It just drinks.
It's a done thing
at a club with, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I had just never heard the phrase. I was like, leaving drinks? What is he talking about? No, I know. And see, you learn something new every day. So, that's what happens when you do podcasts with people from the UK. You start picking up on stuff. And then you start to say stuff, and then people look at you like you're an idiot. It's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Sorry, I get my slang twisted, so it's all screwed up. So, well, so Fry or Mike, what do you? So, what's your channel about? Like, what got you started? Why do you do what you do? A little bit of your backstory, so people who maybe aren't familiar with your content and your work and what you do, can you kind of give us the overview of Mike and your channel and your life?
Yeah. So basically, my channel nowadays is mostly about tech. Although if you do go to the channel, you see a lot of Pixel videos, but I do also a lot of other tech videos. So you'll see headphones on there, or wireless earbud stuff, or maybe even some non-Pixel tablets. Mm-hmm. And I started this channel back in 2018. So I had just left the job at the time, and I had some free time while waiting for my applications. And I've been a long time watcher, mostly of tech videos on YouTube. So, Pocket Stuff, Android Authority, and channels like that. And I said, I guess it would be fun to start my own. So I took my wife's camera and just started shooting videos and editing on my computer. And I guess the channel really grew from there. But the thing is, the first 2 years, the channel didn't see much growth because I had a full-time job then. So around the same time that I started the channel, I got a new job around the same time. So it was a full-time job. So I really had little time for making videos back then. Maybe I'd put maybe like 2 videos per month. At the end of the year, I had like maybe 10 or 12 videos. So it wasn't really, I guess it was more of a hobby back then. So the growth was really slow. And then we moved to the UK. My wife got a job here. And then COVID happened. So everything was on lockdown. We were pretty much stuck at home. And I said, I'll just work on the channel during this time. So the time at home, I was able to put out more videos, more content. And the channel just grew from there. And yeah, I can say that as far as the channel goes, right now it's more of a full-time thing now, where I can't afford to just like put 2 videos per month. Like if I go by for more than a week without posting a video, it really affects the performance of the channel. So yeah, right now it's a full-time thing for me. And yeah.
Well, that's cool. Like I said, yeah, and then the funny thing is, how COVID impacted either negatively or positively creators, right? So some people who maybe had channels that were going, and then they had some disruption. But I know, I don't want to say that the growth is artificial, but a lot more people were at home, so they had more time to watch videos because they weren't going to work and doing all those came out of lockdown. So what would you say that growth has sustained? So those people who had maybe added to your channel kind of engaged and like, okay, I got to 3,500 and that's where I've kind of been. So it wasn't like a COVID bump, I guess is the best way. What have you seen as far as your metrics?
Yeah, I guess the lockdown really had something to do with it, because there's a lot of views recently, but there were also, I think, proportionally more views back then. So with people now going back to work and being less at home often, I guess it's affected the performance a bit, although it's growing slowly, like not as fast as I'd like it to be, or not as fast as other new channels, but there's still some growth, thankfully. And it's funny that you should ask me, Sam, about like how I started YouTube, because like back in 2011, I think that was officially my first YouTube channel. It was like just clips of video gameplay and like this really badly recorded footage of me trying to explain the PlayStation 1 and the Nintendo DS.
Right. Stuff is like, what's this ancient stuff this guy's doing? Ew, PS1.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's in like 360p and it sounds like it was recorded in an airplane or something. And so right now there's a couple of videos of me around YouTube where it's just really bad. And yeah, that one was more video game oriented, because at the time I was watching a lot of like CGR, Undertow, or GameSpot, IGN videos. And I thought, why not try it? But of course, this time around, I guess I could say it was a lot more serious this time around. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, and also that's a difficult, because you've got Twitch and all these streaming platforms. And so that, I mean, it's really hard, I guess, to do the video game. And honestly, I guess this just shows I'm a fuddy-duddy, right? An old guy. But I'm like, I just remember when I was a kid, when we all had a Nintendo and people would come over, like nobody wanted to sit around and watch somebody play Nintendo, like Excitebike, right? If we were playing a game together, sure, no problem. But if like nobody wanted to want to sit there, and now you have a whole very popular, very monetized, very engaged website that all it is people watching other people play games. And I even asked my daughter, I was like, do people actually do this? And she's like, yeah, they really do, Dad. I'm like, I can't think of anything more awful than sitting there watching somebody play Minecraft. I mean, I like Minecraft. I think it's cool, but wouldn't you just want to play Minecraft yourself? You have access to it, right? It's like, I get if you're trying to do something, right? And these people are doing really high level kinds of stuff. If you're like trying to figure out new ways to play the game, but then you could watch a YouTube video if you had a specific, I want to do X thing in Minecraft. I'm sure if you search that and you Google, you could find hundreds of videos about how to do the thing, right? So if you need it, and I don't know. So I still haven't figured out Twitch as a platform. I don't begrudge anybody who does it. And if you can make it successful, cool. But I've tried to watch it. I did due diligence. I actually tried to sit there one time and I was like, yeah, I can't. I can't do this. I got better things to do. So that's a tough road to do the video games, especially if you're not on Twitch. If you're just doing it like on YouTube, that's a tough way to plow ahead, especially nowadays. And well, that's interesting how the channel, how the channel changed and how you, and also looking at your old stuff and going, wow, this is rough. You grew up.
Cringy. Yeah.
That's okay.
That's how you grow, isn't it? By looking at old stuff like that. I wanted to ask you, Mike, your journey from the Philippines and now you're in the UK, in London.
Yeah, it's quite a life changer. Yeah. I guess, sorry about that. Comparing to where I was back in the Philippines to now as a content creator, I guess personally, I've found more opportunities here for content creation. Of course, it's not going to be the same experience for everyone. Like some people back home in the Philippines that, of course, like have 100,000 subs or maybe even millions of subs with their tech channels. But I don't know. I guess it worked better for me here. And it was, in terms of like the trip itself, was really a life changer, because we grew up on this little island in the southwest part of the Philippines, and it was quite a change moving from there to here to the UK and learning all this stuff. And of course, we know about the UK from like TV and movies, but to like actually live here and readapt and on how you go about things in the day-to-day with regards to work and of course the YouTube gig, it's been a very eye-opening and interesting experience so far. The UK is lovely though. Yeah.
Of course, of course.
Yes.
You've experienced Manchester and London.
Yeah.
Well, and I was gonna say, and
you
said you lived in London. I don't hear it. You haven't been there very long because I haven't picked up an accent. Because sometimes it's interesting hearing people who are non Caucasian or non-white people or whatever. Like they weren't in European or the Americans. How Master Wong. Like if you listen, he's got a very Chinese but real British accent, like mixed.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like this interesting kind of like spin on it. It's like, I don't even think I know what he said. I think I know what he said, but it's interesting. You don't hear a lot of that the British accent, or maybe some of the terminology comes first. So maybe it's more the words that start coming first, and then the accent starts to slowly kind of creep in as you're there for longer.
I don't know. It may be too late for me because like I grew up like we had cable TV, so there was channels from the US, like a Discovery Channel, Cartoon Network, Nickelodeon. So I guess I kind of picked up the accent there.
Right.
We had some British programming like Mr. Bean, but then again, he didn't speak much. So.
Right. Yeah. If your accent's just
yeah. But yeah.
So many of his mannerisms. Yeah. He talks like an American.
And I guess it's other people have like picked up on it whenever I talk to people here, like delivery personnel, or when I'm in a shop and people ask me like, "Oh, are you American?" No, I'm not. It's from TV. All of this is from TV. Yeah.
I think it's quite a common thing though, isn't it?
Sorry?
It's quite a common thing that people learn like American English from TV.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. My mom teaches English, and she's a college professor. So, So I guess in addition to the TV stuff, like she'd have me read these books as a child. So you also kind of pick up on the words, and it's I guess you can say that both of those things are a factor with how I relate to the world with my speech.
I've just got to mention a film, just to remind me of Mr. Bean Coming to America.
Oh yeah,
great film.
Is that the movie with the painting?
Yeah, with the face. It's like in full disclosure, I am a huge Mr. Bean fan. I love Rowan Atkinson, but the funny thing is I actually used to watch the Blackadder series. So
good stuff.
So I love those. So I'm a huge fan of. Well, the funny thing is we have a public broadcasting channel here, PBS, so they showed a lot of so I've seen that kind of stuff. Ab Fab was on here in the United States for a while, so we've got our share of shows. And then the original Office was a British show; it wasn't an American show, right? So and I prefer the British version of the Office, just because I guess it's the original. It seems more genuine and authentic than. Although the Office, the American version, is pretty good too. I have to admit. So it's interesting how it's. So you came through work. So I guess. So you're doing YouTube full time. Is that how I understand what's going on? Or
it was actually my wife's work that brought us here, and then I used to work at a university back in our town. So it was the same university where I studied, and I got a job there afterwards. Okay. Of course, I had to leave that when we moved here, and right now, in addition to the full-time YouTube thing, I also work for 2 websites. So one is based here in the UK. It's with geekystuff.co.uk. I'm writing with Paul Smith. He owns the site, so shout out to Paul if he's watching.
Top guy. Yeah, top guy. Big shout out to Paul.
And then there's also Fandroid in the US with Nick Gray. So he hosts most the Fandroid videos. Although I've been fortunate enough to make like 1 video so far with each channel. So right now, in addition to YouTube, I am working with geeky stuff in Fandroid. And to be honest, I do enjoy what I'm doing right now. Like I've always aspired to work in the tech journalism industry. So covering, in addition to like reviewing phones, like event coverage, or just plain news writing, it's a lot more fun and a lot more interesting than what I used to do back in the Philippines. I'm not no diss to my old workplace and my old workmates, but I feel that this is a better fit for me.
Yeah,
it's your passion. So
I was gonna say it's kind of hard to compare working at a university to being a tech journalist. I don't think those even have a comparable thing. It's like, unless you really like working in academia, which I'm sure there's a lot of people who do. But comparably, as far as like the possibility of enjoyment of your job, I would think there's a lot more upside to the tech journalism space than there would be to working at a university or a small college or even high school.
Yeah. I guess the similarity that between what I do now and the old job is that back in the university, I did work at their public relations office. So they needed the guy to do the newsletters. So it's still like writing in news articles and just doing the magazine stuff. But I guess that's the biggest similarity. But now it's about tech full time. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, I cannot do this full time, and Joe and I can't leverage the channel and our podcast. We are if we could try, and we would earn about $0 a month. So it's okay. It's more of a love for us and a passion. We just like having people on and having the experience.
That may surprise people, like how professional we are and everything. But we're not full time guys.
Right, professional. I don't know that
Sam Studio.
Yeah, it's Sam Studio. I don't even know where that came from. I listened to that last week. I was like, what in the hell am I talking about? I'm out of my head. Oh, jeez, it was terrible. That's what I'm saying. That's what happens when you don't have a professional radio person. Yeah, things just come out. Now, I'm not scripting any of this stuff, so sometimes things come out like Sam Studios. Really? That's what you're going with? Oy, good Lord. Not a great time in radio. Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, it's fine. So obviously you're writing for,
Mike,
I assume you
when you guys watching.
I'm sorry, Joe. Yeah. Joe was asking something.
Oh, well, everyone's froze for their second then.
Oh.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you was growing up watching American TV shows, what was the shows you watched then? Like, what was your favorites?
Well, as a child, mostly Cartoon Network, but also we had stuff like that, National Geographic or the Discovery Channel, of course, MTV. Basically, whatever was available on the local cable stations. So pretty much, I guess a lot of the TV channels back in the day that shaped pop culture as we know it today. Like we had access to that, although of course, it was a bit limited. I'd have to say that around that. Yeah.
You got to see what they wanted you to see.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
and the funny thing that I know about, at least from the American side of the Philippines, the Philippines and the United States have kind of had a real kind of interesting connected relationship. I know a lot of people who I know they have military installations in the and that kind of thing. But
Yeah.
I really, but the Philippines isn't just. I mean, it's not like Guam or anything that's like an American protectorate. But I know the United States and the Philippines have had a pretty good relationship as far as their governments have been concerned. And the United and I remember when I was a kid, I was old enough to remember Ferdinand and Isabella Marcos and the whole all that kind of stuff. And
Yeah.
it's so I'm for people who are my age, kind of know all that. So the Philippines is something that's known to American culture and American people. We kind of it's one of those countries that's like, where is that again? Most people may not know where it is, but it's talked about. Things that happen in the Philippines in the United States as far as news and stuff are kind of covered more than maybe another country would. So they're the Philippines isn't kind of an unknown commodity to most Americans. They know of it and they've heard of the country and they know of the people and that kind of thing. So it's interesting how they're kind of connected, sort of. Yeah, it's kind of weird.
Yeah. There's like a definite relationship between the two countries, like in terms of economics or pop culture, or even just like I guess how the U.S. culture has penetrated and shaped and affected the general Filipino pop culture in past years. And I see there's a question like, Mike, what cartoons were you into? Oh man, I guess a lot of the Cartoon Network stuff, like Dexter's Lab, Krisha Curly Dog, SWAT Cats, stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I guess if you ask like a lot of 90s kids what they were into, I'd probably have the same answers. Yeah.
Yeah, I reckon so.
So you're doing work with Fandroid. So I'm assuming you're an Android user. And I guess my question is, have you always been, or were you like part of like, did you have Windows phones? Did you have like, other older devices like Palm and those kind of things? Like, what's your engagement as far as like your mobile tech engagement from years past?
Well, I guess, like with everyone else, I did use a lot of feature phones, the keypad phones back in the day. But the first touchscreen phone that I owned was the Samsung Champ. It was mostly marketed in like developing countries, so it didn't really run an Android. It had TouchWiz on it. It was really basic. It had a 2.4-inch display, and it wasn't even a capacitive touchscreen. It was one of those resistive screens with you have a tiny pen and you have to really put pressure on the display.
You had to like really kind of hit it pretty good or push it real hard.
Yeah. And then one time I think I walked into a store and one of the salespeople were like, would you like to try this? It's the Samsung Galaxy Y. It runs an Android. And I was thinking, oh, it's just the Android I've heard so much about. So I got the phone and it's very different in a great way. So it was really fast, at least for the time. It was faster than the feature phones I used. And eventually I discovered that, wait, there's more Android phones. So there's better Android phones. So eventually, having discovered this new world, I got to try different devices, I guess. But a lot of them were just like really budget phones. Like I was so broke college graduate at the time who still lived with mom and dad. So it was mostly budget stuff. There was also a time. So I started using Android around 2012. And around 2014 to I think 15, I used Windows Phone. I had a friend who lived in the States who came to visit regularly. So one time he visited, he had a Samsung Focus S. He was like showing it to me, and he showed the features. So I fell in love with the user interface in Windows Phone, and the AMOLED display on the phone that he had really showed the best of what Windows Phone could be in terms of visual appearance. So after that, I did get a Lumia, but again, it was one of those budget Lumia models. And I think around 2014, 15, I think around 2016, when Android phones started to like falter, or like Microsoft wasn't really paying much attention to it. I went back to Android, and around 2017, I did get an iPhone. So I wanted to try out iOS for some time. So it was the iPhone 6, which was old by then. But during that time, I think Apple released a special 32 gig version of the iPhone 6 to like Southeast Asian markets.
Okay.
So they were offering it on contract. So I decided to grab one just to try out iOS. And yeah, the differences between Android and Windows Phone and iOS, based on what I was able to use, were like, there were some similarities, but essentially they were different operating systems with different strengths. Being that, I guess out of the three, Android was the most open. I could customize my Android phones with different user interface elements. And as for Windows Phone was just really, I just love the interface on Windows Phone. It was really smooth. My Windows phones had really bad hardware, as some would say, but they really ran well despite the low specs. And with iOS, it was just, I guess iOS was really worked best in an ecosystem, because around the same time I got the iPhone, I was working in a different place, and they had me use a Mac computer, so I often connected my iPhone with their Mac. But after a few months of using iOS, I kind of missed Android, and that was in 2017. And around the time, I think Google was pushing Android One, where they would like partner with different phone manufacturers and brands to offer like Android phones with essentially like the poor man's Pixel. You get these Android phones with specifications and software that were up to Google standards, but they were more affordable. So I got one of those Nokia Android One devices because I did miss Android. And yeah, I've been on Android ever since, but I never really got to use yeah. I never really got to use a Pixel until I moved to the UK, because Google hardware was really hard to come by back in the Philippines. So it was rare to see Nexus devices or Pixel devices in the Philippines, especially in the small town where I lived. But when I moved here, I think after a month of staying here, I was like, I need to get a Pixel. So I searched. I got one through a carrier. I think it was EE. So it was the Pixel 3A. And I've been on Pixel ever since. I do have some other phones that I use. Sometimes I switch to them just to change things up a bit. But essentially, my daily drivers have always been Pixels for the last couple of years. Yeah, so that was pretty long, but
no, it's just funny. And that was the thing I liked about Windows Phone, the interface for sure. But the fact that Windows Phone really ran on inexpensive and very low powered and low spec hardware. You know, you had some of the 530 and the 430 devices that had like a gig of RAM, and it ran fine. I mean, it might have been a little slower, but you didn't see such an impact on there. And like I said, I although I liked Windows 10 mobile, my favorite was Windows 8.1, the Metro UI and stuff. Yeah. I cannot. Again, I was one of the few people that literally was like, they'll have to shut this thing totally down before I stop using it, and I still kind of use it, so it's fine.
So that's one of my regrets. Yeah, I never used the Windows Phone.
Oh man, it's again, it's always personal preference. I understand that people weren't into it, but I and it's not for everybody. But man, I can tell you, out of all three, if I could get half of the apps and Windows Phone was fairly viable now, I would never use anything but a Windows Phone. A lot of people say that. Yeah, I really liked it. Now, granted, that doesn't mean, again, and you say that, and here's the thing, it's like, both things can be the same and both things can be true. Although I would really like to use Windows Phone. Doesn't mean iOS and Android suck. Okay, those are not universal statements, right? A lot of people hear that and they say, oh, well, then you must hate iOS. No, I like iOS. It's just, and I have one for work. My work device is an iPhone. I got a 13 finally. Yay, because I was using an iPhone 8 trying to run Teams, and good luck with that. It would be like dead in an hour. And I have to be on Teams calls all day, and it's like, oh, can I charge it? So, I got a iPhone 13, so I got a brand new one. But so I use it for work. I enjoy it. It's okay. And I have my Windows phones, and I still use those every once in a while. And then, of course, my daily drivers, my Duo. and then my Pixel. And speaking of my Duo, I don't know if anybody in the chat has noticed because I won a contest. So a gentleman who does a channel is really good. Scary if literal. So Shane Craig.
Oh yeah, Shane. Shout out to Shane.
Shane's an awesome dude, and he does a lot of Duo and foldable and just great content. Well, he had a contest about give me a reason why you should get this no rev case, and I'll send it to you. Well, I won the contest, and I finally got my no rev case.
Nice.
Dude, it's so awesome. It smells. It's still got the like leather smell, and I will tell you though that it puts a little weight to the phone. I mean, it's not exactly an easy device to use, but the case puts a little bit of more weight to it. It's pretty, and the only thing I can't stand is you can't fold it all the way back.
Oh yeah, because the leather. Yeah.
But what's cool is I've learned to just carry it like this. So now I just carry it kind of like this instead of holding the phone like this. My hand doesn't cramp as much. It looks goofy as shit, but who cares? I don't really care.
When you're not carrying it like that, you're carrying it next to your nose, sniffing it, like you said.
I'm just like, and they're like, "You're a weirdo." I go, "Yeah," and it's not the case.
Yeah, I love
it. But yeah, I mean, it's the quality of this case is so good. It's stupid. It's like it's for the Duo, and I know they realize they make other devices, cases for other devices, and folios but I mean, I got this with the patina and everything. And it's so awesome. I mean, I don't know if I would spend $185 because my wife had stroke, but it's just like right now it feels like it feels like a little like a pocket book, like if you had like a little book you'd read, or like it's
proper
got
leather bound.
It's got a proper classy leather feel to it, and it's fantastic. So if you want to check out what they've got, it's no rev, and it's they're very good, but these are handmade. So mine took like 2.5 months to get, because it was custom made, and I got the patina and the craftsman made it. But I ever since I've had it, I mean, it's phenomenal. It's really cool.
It's not a sponsor, by the way. That is just genuinely Sam saying check them out. We do have a sponsor, however.
Yeah, Extreme Skins. .co.uk. Yeah, if you got to check them out. Yeah, there's other people that maybe do skins, and they might be fine. We're not going to mention them on this channel because we don't do that. But if you are looking for something that maybe you don't want a case, and maybe you want to change the color of your phone and protect it and do it with style and class and save a few dollars over these other ones, you check them out. Extremeskins.co.uk. They got a great selection. You don't have to live in the UK. I clearly don't, just because I was born here in the United States and I'm just too lazy to move. And, I don't like traffic. And I heard the M25 is a bitch. So I'd rather just stay in the United States. Right? And plus, I want to bring my Mustang with me. And I don't know if I could drive that in the UK because I don't think I'd be able to park it anywhere. Although I'd get some.
Probably not, no.
They don't sell Mustangs in the UK, do they? Do they sell that car in the UK, by the way? Can you buy a Mustang in the UK?
Probably. Probably buy whatever you want on the black market.
Anyway, so anyway, if you're looking for a really good device to protect, make it look good, check them out. They ship everywhere in the world, competitive prices, fantastic gentlemen and ladies that work there. Check them out. Extremeskins.co.uk. We don't have any special codes, but it's already pretty inexpensive. You can get it done. And tell them we sent you. We'd really appreciate it. And
Purposely Gaming's got a code on his Twitter. So if you want to get a code, check him out.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And they do all sorts of giveaways and cool stuff. They're really good folks. I've had a couple interactions with them, and I've emailed them, and they're awesome. Get it out quickly and quality stuff. So check them out.
Mike's got a Pixel 6 skin I sent him. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah. Actually, Joe sent it, and I shot a lot of B-roll with that skin on because it looks so nice on camera. Yeah. I think nearly all my Pixel 6 videos on the channel have shots featuring the skin. It's just really nice, especially when you close up on the phone and you see like how the light hits the carbon fiber.
Yeah, sharp.
It's a really good quality skin. I'm really impressed.
Yeah. And they're also really nice people. Maybe the other people, the other companies are maybe nice, but they're not as nice as those folks. They're really awesome. Yeah. So check them out. Go to their website. There's use code Tyler for 15% off. There you go. Even better. So you can give Matt some, use his code and get some love and get you some skins. All sorts of colors, all sorts of phones. Check them out. And also
stuff like Steam Deck and your PS5, PS4. They do all sorts.
Yeah. And if you mess up the PS4 skin, they'll make fun of you, like publicly on Twitter. It's awesome, by the way. So they'll put you out there, and that's fire because that's all good. but they're good. They're good folks. And then also want to give a shout out to the Purposely Pixel team, Neil and all those guys, and Lenny. They decided to host this show on their channel, and we are very appreciative of that. So you should check them out too. If you're interested in Pixel content, that's where to go, right? Purposely Pixel. But they also do other phones, and Joe's on there, and people make content about not just Pixels, but all sorts of stuff. So it's a good listen. Yeah. You should check them out, watch their videos, and give them some subs and give them some likes, and let them know that you really care about their content, because they're doing it for the benefit of everybody to get.
On that note, Mike here does some very good Pixel content.
I know.
And I really think you should be Team Pixel, to be honest. Google, are you listening?
Yeah, Team Pixel. Absolutely. So yeah, give him some love, because I've watched some of Mike's videos, and they're like, wow, these are really, really well made. I mean, I know I couldn't do that, because
I guess my biggest regret with the Pixel videos is that I didn't have the earlier phones. So I started with the Pixel 3a and the 4a and everything after that, but I didn't get to use the earlier Pixel 1, 2, even the 3. It was mostly the A models. I didn't even get to use the 5, I think. So I really need to feature those on the channel at some point.
Yeah, it seemed cool like to hear 5 though. Yeah, the theme like the 5 was kind of like, I don't want to say the forgotten Pixel, but it kind of fell between the 4A and the 4XL, and then you had the 6. The 5 kind of, and the 5A, it kind of got, I don't want to say forgotten, because I don't think that's the proper way, because it shouldn't really have. It's a quality phone, but it seemed like that of all the devices, that one kind of, I don't know a lot of people who say they're rocking a 5. Either have a 5A or a 4XL. Right. I mean, not saying anybody, but I mean, of all the phones, that you would have thought that, every other phone kind of, everybody's really a big fan of the 4XL, because I know Dan had a 4XL, but it seemed like the 5 kind of got, of all the phones, it kind of seemed like it got kind of squeezed out of that lineup for some reason. And it's kind of a shame, because it was a really pretty good, solid device, I thought.
Yeah, I think part of that has to be, this is just my personal opinion. I think the fact that it had a Snapdragon 7 series chipset, it's like a lot of people are saying, oh, it didn't come with an 8 series chipset. It came with a mid-range chipset. It's not going to be able to hold up against the S21s and the iPhone 12s. I guess that kind of talk from a lot of opinions online, I think it affected the perception of the Pixel 5 as far as the casual tech enthusiast community goes.
Yeah, or just the casual, consumer walking into a store who has an option to buy an iPhone or a Samsung or maybe a Moto if they're looking for more of a budget device, and maybe to the price point was maybe a little bit out of alignment with maybe somebody would want to get a phone. I know that the 5s weren't. I don't think they were expensive, but they weren't exactly more of the affordable. So why don't you just wait for the 5A? So it kind of, like I said, it seemed like it just kind of fell into this little bit, and that was the last. Now that we've got the 6, we've got a Tensor chip, we've got a new camera design, we've got a redesigned phone. And I'll tell you this much, I don't know about in the UK, but in the United States, Google has been really pushing TV advertisements. There have been tons. I mean,
same in the UK.
Yeah, same. Pixel this, and they talk about this, the True Tone. I mean, they really are, all those things, right? They are really, I can't remember the last time where they really pushed it as hard as I've seen in the last probably 6 months or a year as far as their advertising budget. They've really made a conscious effort for the Pixel 6 to really put it out in the marketing space. They really have done a really aggressive job at that.
Well, let's put it out there. Why is Apple and Samsung so big?
Well, that's always been my argument. That has been my argument from the day one. And it's like, Windows Phone, it was the phone that really was probably better, but you never heard about it. That's why Betamax lost out to VHS. That's why HD DVD lost out to Blu-ray, right? It was, Betamax was technically superior, and this is dating myself because we're like, Betamax, Google it, you'll figure it out. But the problem is but nobody ever heard about it. So it was one got more traction, one might get more visibility. It was in people's hands. It was like, well, why would I go with HD DVD when I have Blu-ray and I know what it does, right? I know it works. I know the quality's good. Why mess with these numbers and labels and everything else? It's like, And so one falls by the wayside, even if it's technically superior or even just a better overall platform. It doesn't really matter. It's kind of, and Samsung and Apple, I've made the argument for years, Apple doesn't even have to run an ad. They just say, hey, we know the 14 is coming out next year, right? Because that's what we do. Well, then we'll put the 14 in stores, and then we'll just send out an email, and we'll just put a banner up and poof. I mean, they'll sell millions of iPhones and they never have to run an advertisement ever again. I don't even know why they even bother with their. I mean, it's just a juggernaut at this point.
Yeah, because they've essentially turned the iPhone and maybe other Apple products into like icons, pop culture stuff. Because even in the Philippines, iPhones were. I wouldn't say that they were really popular, but not everyone was able to afford them. So like even in this day and age, you'd see people with iPhone 8s and iPhone 7s, and it didn't really matter that they were older phones as long as it was an iPhone. I guess that's the kind of reputation that Apple has built for themselves, which I think I really got to hand it to their marketing team. They know how to like present their product.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, they're and here's the thing that anybody who really wants, and again, I say this with all understand that flames are going to come my way, and I'm going to burn in hell for this. But you can't, if you're an objective tech enthusiast, you cannot look at what Apple has done in the last 10 years and not have just been like, what? In order to take advantage of that situation and do everything they have done to be as successful as they are. Albeit, some of the tactics might have been a little bit aggressive, and they might have been, maybe not consumer friendly. That argument can be made, but Apple's done a pretty good job at making iPhones not just communication tools, but making them really lifestyle devices, and shows that it's almost to the point of it's more of it's a statement of your. I know privilege is not the way to put it, but it basically shows, you have an iPhone, then clearly. Now you've become part of the in crowd, right? Now, if you have an Android phone, and if you're sitting in a group of people, you are definitely on the outside looking in, just socially. And for a tech product to have turned and it had made people go, oh, you have an Android? Well, you're a basic person, right? In order for Apple to leverage that is pretty remarkable in this day and age. I mean, like I said, if you sit down at a table and you're the iPhone users, you're cool. Right? It's almost like the old cafeteria when you're a kid, right? You're the kid that's the cool kid, right? And you got your little Android phone. They go, oh, he's one of those people, right? The Android people. So it's interesting. And the funny thing is, and again, but if you look at it on its face, Android offers the more customization. You have different OEMs, right? You have different hardware specifications. Like an iPhone, you're going to get whatever Apple is giving you, and a lot of those people are because of the prestige and as far as the iPhone, they're used and they're so used to that ecosystem, they're okay with that trade-off. That becomes a trade-off. They're like, okay, I'm okay with the fact that I don't have difference about foldables and this. I'm okay with that because of what it offers me, and it's easy to use, and I'm used to the OS. And so, I mean, hell, look how everybody's excited about a lock screen change. Really? I mean, come on. It's like, it's great. I'm glad they're listening to feedback, but I mean, it's like, man, these people are really amped up about a lock screen. Okay, well, you can change that for years on any Android or Windows phone, but okay, well, yeah, thanks. Welcome to the party, right? We've already been here waiting for you. So,
I guess looking back, like in the Philippines, a lot of people like. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Like I did mention that Apple was really popular there. Like if you had an iPhone, you're a really popular guy, but. A lot of people had Android phones because they're more affordable, and they essentially just like offer a similar functionality in a way. You have a touchscreen interface, you have these apps, and you have a camera. You have a portable camera that you can take anywhere, use with Wi-Fi or internet. So for a lot of people, like yes, you could get an iPhone. Yes, it'll be expensive, and yes, it will look great on you, but. But for a lot of people who were on the more practical side, I guess the Android route was the more affordable and more practical way to go. But yeah, going back to the discussion a while ago, Apple has really done a good job with like setting itself apart in terms of marketing.
Yeah. Big time, yeah.
Oh yeah.
Jacqueline, what's it called? Nothing But Tech.
Yeah.
She's done an interesting video saying about how they never have villains have their phones in films.
Oh yeah.
Good guys hold phones.
Well,
in films.
Exactly. And the funny thing is too is and I always tell people, and it's funny because I notice this because once you get to be a tech enthusiast like we are, you kind of notice. But in up until like I guess a couple of years ago, a lot of TV and movies you saw them using Windows devices, right?
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't show the screen, but the hardware you could clearly tell. It's like I know for the show House of Cards, you know, that one about the president. They all used Windows phones, and even sometimes even showed them answering a call, and it had the good old fashioned Windows 8.1 swipe up to had the big Metro UI. You're like, I know it's stupid, but it's funny because my wife goes, yeah. She goes, let me guess, that's a Windows phone, right? She likes to give me crap about it, but it's funny how you're right. I mean, those are placed very strategically, and that's what I've tried to explain to people is Apple's marketing strategy is exactly that. It's a comprehensive strategy and a lot of that stuff is so subliminal and so nuanced and so simple that you don't even notice it, you know. And then the funny thing, they used to talk about subliminal advertising back in the day. They would have, there were things in the 70s where they'd say that, you know, they'd have advertisements on TV, and out of the 24 frames, 2 of the frames would have like, go to the snack bar, right? So there were studies that showed that they were actually companies that were putting subliminal advertising in video ads, because they would do that like at movie theaters. They would go to the snack bar. So like, I want to go get a popcorn. Right. But their attacks, and I call them attacks, not in a negative sense, but their strategy is that villains don't have iPhone, right?
No.
You know, because it has a negative personification, right? Seriously, it's those little things that you don't even think about as a consumer that just kind of happen in those. And that's extraordinarily smart, and knowing who you're targeting. That is not accidental. That is there. They pay a lot of money.
Google doing more advertising. This year, there's a big show in the UK called Love Island, and the contestants have got pixels this year.
Oh, see,
you see them on the screen a lot.
Yeah, I don't understand why Google hasn't made an attempt to like put those, like sign contracts and put phones in the hands and get them. You know, it's like, you know, what do they say? You know, if you can't beat them, join them. Right. Yeah. So might as well. It is like Google's got a bunch of money. Why don't you start throwing it down the pipe? That's why I don't understand Microsoft's strategy with the Duo. It's like you have a really good device that is extraordinarily niche, and probably nobody know about it. But you know how many times I've used this in public and people are like, well, they immediately say it's a fold, right? That's immediately where they go. But then you show it to them, they're like, I didn't even know Microsoft made such a thing. It's like,
thing is, Sam, if the guys on Love Island had the Duo, they'd break it. And
it'd get sand and stuff in it. It'd be terrible. Then he was like, well, I can't do it. I got to use 2 hands, and I can't do that, so I can't grab. I can't grab a margarita or a cocktail on Love Island. Really, Love Island? Oh,
seriously, Sam.
It sounds as awful as I think it sounds. It really does.
It really is. They just sit around like talking crap all the time.
God, I hate everybody.
Thing, so they've got to try and find love.
You know,
they never stay together.
On an island with a pixel. Well, sure. Okay.
There actually
it makes some.
There's actually several episodes of Always Sunny in Philadelphia where they're using pixels and
that is a good show.
Yeah.
I think Frank Danny DeVito was using, I think, a Lumia 520 at one point. I think Dennis was using a Pixel 3 at some point. I've seen a lot of pixels on there. And also in, I think, The Dark Knight, Morgan Freeman was using a Nokia phone. One of those Nokia touchscreen phones when they tried to infiltrate the Chinese crime lords' business corporation building or something.
Right.
And I think in Man of Steel, they were using, one of the guys in the newsroom was using a Lumia 930.
Right. Great phone, so it's really. I love the 930. I had the gold and black one. God, I love that phone. You know, the only thing about that phone that was terrible was if it was doing anything video intensive, dude, that thing was, it would cook. The back of that thing, it would have terrible thermals, but as far as like the phone size and its capability, dude, the 930 was probably my favorite, other than the 1520. That's my favorite Windows phone of all time. I love the 1520.
The most recent James Bond phone was Nokia, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think had the Nokia. Was it the XR20? I can't remember which one it was, but
and in Hawkeye, the Disney Hawkeye series, everyone used like a Pixel. So Jeremy Renner was using a Pixel. His family was using pixels. It's really weird to see, but it was cool to see as well. So,
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just glad that it seems like Google has finally made a dedicated effort to really start to kind of do some marketing and kind of pushing their stuff, because I think that's, if you're going to leverage the Pixel line, which it sounds like now, it sounds like Google's all in on Pixel. Like that's going to be like, that's not just after the Nexus line, when the first couple of Pixels came out, you really weren't sure if they were going to kind of say, screw it, we're done with this. We've tried and it went nowhere. I think they're all in on Pixel now. And the fact that you see these ads and you see that engagement tells me that Google has made a really hard push to try to get that to have some parity to iOS. They realize they're a little bit behind, but it's good to see that Google's taking the time to really push the Pixel line, because it is a solid phone. Hell, I gave my daughter the S22 Ultra, not because I didn't like it, but I missed the Pixel. I wanted my Pixel 6 back. And then, so she's like, sure, Dad, no problem. But S22, that sucks. Yeah, I know, right? I had to twist her arm. Trust me, it was very difficult for her to hand me that phone. She goes, yeah, I'll totally take that. S22 Ultra? Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that was a lot of cajoling I had to do. Not really.
Yeah, there's sometimes that like the Pixel really shines, because my wife uses an iPhone 13 Pro, and sometimes when we're out,
I saw your little thing was like, hey, guys can coexist. I saw the coexist. Yeah, that was funny. I thought it was really good. Well, nicely played, sir. I'd like that.
I relate to that.
Yeah, there's times when we're outside and I go like, hey, let's take a portrait photo, and she's like, yeah, but let's take it on your Pixel, because there are times when even when she had an iPhone 11 and I had the Pixel 3a, she'd prefer the portrait photos on the Pixel. Now that she has the 13 Pro and I have the 6, she still prefers the portrait shots on the Pixel. I think sometimes, I'm not sure, maybe this is just us, this is our experience, but there are times, of course, the 13 Pro takes great photos, but there are times when like edge detection on the 13 Pro in portrait shots is a bit hit and miss.
Right.
So I'm not saying it happens all the time, but during those instances, she just goes for the Pixel. It's just a simple one tap, point and shoot, and voila, you have a great looking portrait shot.
Yeah, a real-time skin as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that they have pushed that, and it's really, really noticeable. Like I love the shots of the Pixel. I will say that I do really like, my daughter has a 13 Pro Max, and the videos that the iPhone takes are really good. Like, they're pretty phenomenal. I'm not even gonna lie. I mean, I'm not saying that the Pixel isn't as good, but I can tell you that I've seen her take videos with that 13 Pro Max. I'm like, wow, that is a very, very solid, capable device when it comes to video making. It's really good. But again, I don't take a lot of videos, so for me, the Pixel's fine. I enjoy the interface. I enjoy the software. I like the features. I like the feature drops. I enjoy all that stuff. I can run 13 betas and stuff, and that's why I prefer it. And I just prefer Android. I just have, and that's not a slide on iOS, but and that's why I keep my Duo. And then eventually, I think they're going to skip this year on a Duo 3 if they make a Duo 3, which is fine. I'm okay with that, because I'm actually waiting to see. There's the development putting a Windows 11 on the Duo original. And if that gets to a point where it's pretty solid, I might go pick up an old OG Duo just to throw Windows 11 on it. There's a pretty good video about them getting the orientation right. He's working on drivers. It's a pretty cool little project. Obviously, there's
that would be
arguments about, like, do you really want Windows 11? But I mean, Windows 10, they were running Windows 10 on a Lumia 950 because the chipset was an ARM. They were getting to run. Yeah. So, I mean, it's like, everybody gives crap about these chipsets, but that's a Lumia 950. That's running a really old chipset, and it's running Windows 11. And I like Juan Carlos Bagnall always talks about, you have way more computing power than you believe, and you even really need for what you're trying to do. It's crazy how it's just funny.
There he is.
Hey. Android, absolutely. Well, Windows Phone. But it's gone, so really I default to Android. But yeah, definitely not iOS. I'm an Android guy through and through, as you can see. I'm rocking the Android lifestyle. So I hopefully you won't be a stranger to the channel. We've had a great conversation. I mean, I think your channel is really good, and folks, if you are not sub to it, please do yourself a favor. Here's the thing. It's free. You don't even cost you anything. Just even if you don't really watch his videos every time, you don't have to, if you have a bell icon, cool, but just sub to it and watch his channel. It's really fantastic, and he does a really good job, and he's also doing it for love of the game, right? He's not making millions of dollars here. He's not Marquez Brownlee, although you should take Marquez's master class on. Apparently, there's a master class now.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, really? But that's what happens when you have that kind of, I mean, Marquez is on Joe Rogan experience. We are not. So, if you can do it, hey man, rock out with your cock out if you want to, man. It's all good. But I saw he has a master class now on, I guess, video making. So go check that out if you really want to. Or if you just want to have good content and have a good time and talk to people like Mike, who are real solid dudes and just are out there trying to get some channel subs and just make good content so you can give have his feedback about it. You should check it out, and then we'll put the links in the show notes as always. And Mike, it's been an awesome conversation, my friend. I really enjoy having you on. And like I said, thank you for taking the time. I realize that you could be doing a lot of other things with your Sunday evening. So I really appreciate you taking the time to spend with us. It's been an honor, sir.
Thank you.
I was going to say, the flat's looking good. He's just not long moved in there. It looks
it's better than my wife's office, but there's like lights and all sorts of it's cool, man. It's looking pretty sharp already.
Yeah. The thing is, this is half the living room is where I work. So it's not really
that's a good look.
Space,
it's definitely better than what we and Joe got. I mean, you can clearly see me and Joe aren't exactly, but it's got the different colored lights. It's pretty spiffy. I'm kind of digging it, man.
Yeah, it's actually the same set of lights I used in a lot of my videos. So
I was thinking that.
I occasionally move them around depending on what I need them for. So it's really convenient that way.
Yeah, it's a good space. Like I said, man, it's really sharp. And so we continue to be fans, and we will continue to follow your tech journey as you put out content and all those kind of things. Because the one good thing is phones are coming out still. We got Pixels and all that kind of stuff. So luckily there's enough food being placed at the buffet. So we're loving to see what you're going to put out there. And we're huge fans of your channel. And you always have a place in the channel, just on the show. You want to come on and talk about what's going on? Please don't be a stranger to the show. We'd love to have you.
Of course, yeah.
And like Mike said,
it's been a great time.
He does do written stuff on geeky stuff.
Yeah.
Check
out geekystuff.co.uk and fandroid.com.
Yeah.
I also actually have my own website, so it's teamvry.com. Some of my videos I also post them there, but in written formats. So
we'll make sure we'll get all those links on there so that way people can enjoy your written content as well as your video content, because it's good stuff. You should check it out, and we will make sure we will try to get that out to the masses, all the masses.
Thanks a lot.
The people. Yeah. Well, Joe, anything else, sir? We're getting on that. We're closing in on that magic hour.
Yeah.
So
I've got to say Happy Father's Day to all the fathers that are not with us anymore, and the ones that are with us. Happy Father's Day.
Absolutely. And so for myself, for Joe Hickey and Mike Team VRY, that is our show for this Sunday, June 19th, 2022. Thanks for coming by. For everybody in the chat at Detail and Matt, and I saw Geeky Stuff and Barry Johnson and all the regular folks. Thanks for coming through, spending some time with us. Remember, don't forget to download this podcast. It will be available for download. You can listen to it at your leisure. That's how they say it in the UK, leisure. Right?
Leisure.
Whatever, leisure. That's fine. Make fun of me. I don't care. Still call it so. It's whatever. So, again, we love you guys coming in there and spending time with us, and we enjoy bringing the show to you, and it's a labor of love, but we'll continue to do it. We'll be back next Sunday. At this point, we don't have a guest. It might just be me and Joe, but you swing on by anyway. Hell, it might be a pretty good time. You might even enjoy it. And maybe you won't. I don't know. And if you won't, that's okay. You can leave some negative feedback and tell us how we suck. Well, how Joe sucks. That I'm just original. And if you want to tell me I suck, that's okay too. I can take the criticism. It's fine. So that's again our show. Thanks, Joe. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it, sir. Welcome back. Welcome in, and please don't be a stranger. Okay.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Take care of yourselves. Have a good week with your tech. We will see you next Sunday. Be good. Love you guys. Bye, everybody.
See you, folks.
Much love. Goodbye.